So, hello everybody, welcome to my presentation of learning. My name is Garcia. So my topic for my capstone was net neutrality. The reason why I chose this topic is because I spend the majority of my time online, whether it be on Twitter or on Reddit. I always like to know what's going on, so yeah, and I noticed that net neutrality was trending a lot, so I decided to make a whole project on it. So what is net neutrality, you may ask? Net neutrality is the idea and the legality of ISPs, internet service providers like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever your internet carrier is, to be able to charge you more for specific websites and for the speed of those websites. So my research question, what is net neutrality and is it good or bad? So, quick summary of net neutrality, it was under effect since 2015, but then in 2018, January 4th, the FCC decided to repeal against it, but then the Congress introduced the Save the Internet Bill 2019, which got passed in April 10th of 2019. The voting played as such. 231 Democrats ended up voting for it, with only one Democrat from Florida voting for it. And 190 Republicans voting against it, and only 10 people voting, did not vote. So those were 6 Republicans and 4 Democrats. The reason why I decided to do a podcast for my capstone is because I love the idea of making podcasts, and I've done them for a lot of other school projects. And I find the whole process being really enjoyable. And I'm also thinking of making my own private podcast, the Garcia podcast, which is I'm making. So the process of recording a podcast, it was hell making the podcast, but it was really, really fun. So I spent 2 days buying and getting the software, the whole recording setup, and spent a day figuring out which software to get and figuring out technicalities like that. Then I recorded the audio in 3 days. Then I downloaded some sound effects, and it took me 2 days to edit the whole entire thing. Trial and error. It took me 84 times to record the thing. It was terrible. After reading a thing, and even if you're changing your own words to make it sound more natural, it almost ends up like being a tongue twister when you repeat the same thing over and over and over. So the final result. I ended up posting my podcast, which was 11 minutes long, and I designed the amazing cover. And there is my little home recording studio. So the whole and actual thing, I would totally recommend you to go and listen to it. Very, very good podcast. So go to SoundCloud to Young Mexican with a Hat, or just look up Net Neutrality Talk with Amigos that got the Garcia. So some comments that I got, it was very good job. That it was a fantastic intake on what's going on right now with net neutrality and what was going on this year, and a lot of people agreed with it. So here's some of my feedback and some of my demographics. So majority of my views are female, and those were 13 female views and only 7 male views, and majority of them came from Mexico City. The reason why I posted on Facebook. So the feedback. So one of the feedback comments that I got was from Inés, who's my mom's coworker in ATS, and she is a Spanish class teacher. So pretty much she said that she agreed with a lot of the points that I said, and that overall I did a great job. Then my English teacher, Ms. Porter, she asked if the government will try to change net neutrality, or are we safe for now? So it's not really the government's fault, it's really the FCC, and in my opinion, it's going to be a loophole that keeps on repeating for time. The FCC will eventually find another way to repeal net neutrality. Then we're going to have Save the Internet Bill of 2020. So feedback and stats. So I made a Google form, and overall, from the rating from 1 to 10, the average was 9.3. Then I asked for the favorite subjects on the podcast. So different sections of the podcast were talking about different topics. For example, like the mathematical breakdown of it, like how much money would the ISPs make, history of it, the voting, and everything. Then pornography, how would it affect the pornography industry, which it would affect it drastically. Then others, 2 people put the creator's voice. Here's my sources in bibliography. Thank you so much.
will your next step be in continuing your capstone research?
My next thing on continuing the capstone, I think that I'm going to check more on the trending nature of net neutrality and why not a lot of people knew about it. How the whole net neutrality thing was hidden away from like a lot of mainstream media. Like the news, there's not a lot about it, but the people who really look into the internet to see what's going on, it was really with them. So I think that I need to figure out why the media was kind of censoring it.
Can you tell us what have you learned about yourself throughout this process?
Throughout this process, what I've learned about myself is that I'm very determined to do something. Like, while I'm enjoying it, it doesn't feel like I'm doing much work at all. And I enjoy, doing research on homework when it specifically comes to the stuff that I like to learn about. So it was not really a big, major painstaking as a researcher. Perfect. Any more questions?